Hello and welcome to CNBC-TV18's Monsoon Watch. I'm Manisha Gupta, and India's weather department's prediction for an above normal monsoon, but there are some concerns around distribution of the rainfall. The Met Department is expecting the long period average at 106%. This is a bit more optimistic than 102% prediction from the private weather forecaster SkyMet. Well, this 106 prediction is the best India has seen since the pandemic for 2022. The Met Department had predicted rainfall to be around the same mark while it was below in 2021 and in 2023. And as you have seen, the distribution of the rainfall is a key concern. The central and southern peninsula is expected to see above normal rainfall, but the northwest is likely to get normal rainfall, and the northeast is where you could be looking at a below normal rainfall. Well, this is how the probability chart looks like right now. There's a 32% probability of an above normal monsoon, a 31% probability of a normal monsoon, while there's a 29% chance of an excess rainfall. So the odds of a below normal or a deficient monsoon is extremely low. The normal monsoon is extremely crucial for several crops in India. There are kharif crops including rice, cotton, pulses, maize, millets, etc. The government has imposed export curbs on some of these crops, and while if there is not a sufficient rainfall, then you could be looking at a bit of a concern. But with the kind of above normal rainfall that the markets are anticipating, well, this could lead to a bumper yield, and this would help lift some of these export restrictions that we have as of now. I will start with talking about pulses right now, where we are looking at a bit of a concern into the markets. The above normal monsoon rainfall usually brings good news for the agriculture sector as it boosts yield and lowers inflation. Joining me now to discuss the impact of rains on pulses is Bimal Kothari. He's Vice Chairman of the India Pulses and Grains Association. Mr. Kothari, hi, thank you so much for joining us. Well, pulses clearly has been a bit of a concern for some time now. The last year monsoon was not so great. We saw damage and destruction in yields as well. And this time around, because we are looking at good monsoons, would you say that it gives you some hope and the confidence that we perhaps could be looking at a good sowing and better crop going forward?
Thank you, Manisha, for inviting me to the show. Of course, the pulses, trade industry and farmers, even the government, everybody is badly looking for the good monsoon. Because since last year, we had a huge challenge in the availability of the pulses. Our production has been low in case of major pulses like tur, urad, and even chana now. We are saying that though the government has estimated that the production will be around 12 million tons, but on the ground we can't see much of the availability. So government has allowed the import of yellow peas, which has been restricted for last 5.5 years. And they have allowed the import since last December at 0% duty. So these measures government has taken. They know that even their numbers, they are not very sure that this 12 million ton crop would be there. So what we see among the 5 major pulses, there is huge challenge in the availability of these pulses. And it happened because of erratic monsoon last year, the El Nino effect, and the monsoon distribution in the planting areas, which has caused huge havoc in the production. So I think, of course, we all are very optimistic, very hopeful that, and as we have got the report getting the report from the Weather Bureau of the government as well as from the private sector, that the monsoon is more than 100%, 102 and 106 as you have predicted. And more interestingly, that you have shown that there will be normal monsoon in the western region, and there is excess rainfall in southwest. So this is and there is just some deficiency in the northeast. So let me tell you, we produce most of the pulses in the western states like Gujarat, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, and also some of the southern states like Karnataka, Telangana, and Andhra. So normal monsoon, if it is normal monsoon, I'm sure India is going to see a huge production, because this year the farmers have got very good price for their crops. Chana has been ruling above almost more than 25%, 30% above the minimum support price. Tur, urad, both minimum support price is 70 rupees, where it's The market is more than around 120, 130 rupees now. And Urad is also rolling around 100 rupees as against MSP of 70 rupees. So farmers have got a very lucrative price. In fact, government doesn't need to give them any incentive. It's already incentivized so much these prices that the farmer will definitely go for the larger production. This is what, as an association, we anticipate. And unless we have seen that either deficient monsoon or too much of the water has also caused a lot of damage to the kharif crops in particular. We have seen that like as you mentioned, there is in the southern part there could be excess rainfall. So if there is excess rainfall, if it is there is more rains during the harvest time, this can damage the crops also. So we hope that this situation doesn't arise and India can see a good production.
Oh, that's a very good point, valid point, Mr. Kothari. We need just the right kind of monsoon, not too much, not too less, and at the right time as well. Otherwise, 100 and 102 and 106 doesn't really make so much difference there. I get that. I also want to come in on the policy part of it now. With the monsoon that is expected good, and as you said, the prices are lucrative. They are trading above MSP, and the farmers perhaps will go out and sow more. But the policy part of it, and very soon we will have the new government coming in. And, I was talking to various sectors, Mr. Kothari, and almost everybody is making their initial representations to the government on what they would want to see in their sector in the first 100 days itself. So if you are making those presentations, what are the kind of changes or policy measures that you would want?
Thank you, Manisha. This is a very vital question, which you have raised, and we have been, in fact, addressing this issue from time to time. Let me tell you, the pulses, we have seen a lot of intervention by the government since 2017. Since January 2023 till date, in last 16-17 months, we have seen 11 notifications has been issued for the pulses, either import or for the stock limits or for availability and all this. So this is really causing a lot of these knee-jerk decisions. These are these short-term policy decisions. I think this is neither good for the farmers, not good for the trade, and not even for the government. So we need the government to have a balanced policy, because you have to understand, India, you see, our import till last financial year was just 2.5 million tons. This year we have imported 4.65 million tons. It has just doubled. And current year, I think India is going to import more than 5 million tons. So if you see, our imports are rising, and we are more dependent on the imported pulses than the local pulses. Of course, import is nothing bad. I mean, if you require, we need to import. There is nothing bad in that. But also, when government is talking about the self-sufficiency, I think we need to have a very balanced policy. And what we have seen that these knee-jerk decisions are not helping the farmers, not the trade, and even not the government, as I said. So what we need a long-term policy, a balanced policy. And this 0% duty, what they have allowed in case of yellow peas, I'm very really concerned, because this has been allowed till 31st October. We are going to see more than 10 million ton of crop in the various origins from July onwards. And I'm sure the market will crash in the international market, because India would be the largest buyer, and India would give the best of the prices. So everybody would like to sell to India, and the market would definitely crash. So I think the government should have and you see, if a lower government restriction was the contention was that the cheaper import is hurting the Indian farmers. But now we are getting these peas at 38, 39 rupees. Today the market is 39, 40 rupees. So you see, and as against the MSP of Chana, which is about 54 rupees. Their assumption is that the yellow peas is a substitute of Chana. And I think to a certain extent that is true also. To a certain extent it is definitely a substitute of Chana. But you see, if the pulses are imported at 38, 39 or 35 rupees, right, definitely it is going to hurt our farmers. The farmers should not be encouraged to grow more pulses, particularly when this has been allowed till 31st October without any duty. And that time, once this October is over, India, our farmers will take up the Rabi crops. They will go for the planting of Rabi crops. And if the prices are so low, then I think farmers will not be encouraged. Particularly, and let me tell you, by 2030, it's the government number I'm talking, government assumption I'm talking. India requires now 32, 33 million tons presently. wherein by 2030, India will require more than 40 million tons of pulses. So these kind of policies, Manisaji, I think we need to feed 1.5 billion people by 2030. I think we need to have a very balanced policy. Otherwise, there we are going to see huge challenges and a lot of issues as far as the availability of the pulses will be concerned. And we should know, one should know very well that pulses is a very, very important food, because this is, as a large segment of the vegetarian population, they consume pulses in their diet every day. Not even the non-vegetarian, even the non-vegetarian people also. So pulses plays a very important role. So I think government needs to take it very seriously, and they should come with a long-term policy, and that is what, once the government is formed, we are going to make a presentation, and we will address, and we will appeal to the government to come with a long-term policy. As an association, we will fully cooperate with the government, and we will be fully with them, because our whole idea is to address the issue of the availability and to ensure that we have the food security and our nutritional security is ensured for the future.
Fair point that. Well, yes, the right and balanced policy and the fact that the monsoon should be right. I mean, it's going to be quite important going forward, really. One is the monsoon part, the sowing, the final crop, and of course, the kind of policies that India sees that will define on what we stand in sense of pulses as an industry. Mr. Kothari, as always, thank you so much for joining us and addressing all of those very important points there. Well, after pulses, we are going to be talking about the edible oil as a sector, and the soybean crop depends on the abundant rains that normally fall during the month of June through September monsoon. Sufficient production means lower dependency on edible oil imports for India. Joining me now to take this discussion forward is Mr. D.N. Pathak. He's Executive Director at the Soybean Processors Association of India. Mr. Pathak, hi, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. And as a point that Mr. Kothari was making, that not too much and not too less, and a timely monsoon is what we are looking for right now. How are you, first of all, looking at monsoon, and what's your sense on the Kharif edible oil as a sector? You watch soybean very closely, but we also are looking at groundnut, various other edible oils. What is your sense?
I am very happy to hear about the monsoon long-term prediction and what will happen, 102% or 106%. But overall, if we have that kind of monsoon and the distribution is not too bad, then I think edible oil crops, particularly soybean crop, we will have a good crop. We have been having good crop for the last 2 consecutive years, and over 12 million tons. I think this year also the crop is going to be good. We've been talking to farmers, and there's not too much shift happening from the soybean to other crops, although pulses have given such a good return that some farmers may want to shift to pulses, but not too much of that. In Malwa region in Madhya Pradesh, where the major soybean growing area is there, and in Vidarbha and Marathwada area of Maharashtra, there's going to be there's very, very little shift in Madhya Pradesh, and some shift perhaps 1 or 2%. So overall, I think we will have the same kind of area coverage from soybean, and the yields, I'm expecting they will be better than last year. So I'm expecting a crop which is certainly going to be better than last year, which is a good news for the soybean industry. Of course, groundnut also gives a lot of edible oil, but that is more of a table nut. So on the soybean front, I think we are comfortable. If we are able to export also, as we have done this year, we have done, I think we will be doing better than last year. Maybe about 2 million tons of soybean meal will be exporting, riding on one factor, that is Iran. So I think we are looking at a very good, very good crop and very good scenario for soybean farmers and the industry both. Farmers are telling us that they are ready for sowing, and everybody is expecting that the sowing should start immediately after the monsoon sets in, which is somewhere around 15th or 12th of June. So if that happens and the distribution is good, we will have a very, very good crop beginning of October.
All right. That's a very, very hopeful scenario there, that everything looks absolutely perfect here. But Mr. Pathak, what is not so perfect really is the policies that we have right now with the kind of cheaper imports that we've seen in the last very many months. Do you see that impacting the sowing at all?
See, we have been seeing this flip-flop on policies and very inconsistent policies as far as the sector is concerned. I think the government's concerns are inflation, but it's somewhat skewed because the farmer is also a consumer. So we have not been able to understand, but as you know, this is an election year and the government's priorities are somewhere else right now. But we are very sure, we are almost certain that as soon as the new government comes in, we will have a policy for the next 5 years, a consistent policy. And the Prime Minister has said we want self-sufficiency in edible oils. So we will go for edible oil productivity increase whole hog. And the National Mission on Edible Oils, which is in the making for the last 5 years, will certainly see the light of the day. And if that happens, we will see hopefully a large escalation in oilseed production, which means large escalation in oil availability in India. So I'm hoping that the government will wake up, and immediately after the government is formed, there will be certainly an increase in the customs duty, which has been ranging from 0 to 8% to 9.55%. So we are certainly hoping that this will happen. We have also made representations to this effect that this is hurting farmers. You see, we saw soybean prices going up to 5,500 rupees in the beginning. Then they fell below MSP. Then on some support from overseas, now they are almost at MSP, or 2 rupees here and 2 rupees there. So the farmer is really feeling that this is somewhat short charging him. He needs a better price and better realization. So with the duty increase, I'm sure the farmer will get a better price, and the industry will also function better. The meal demand will increase, and overall scenario should be good if the duty is increased, which we are hoping it will increase.
Okay. Well, yes, too much of volatility in case of prices is always not good for the consumer, for the processor industry, or for consumers as well, for that matter. I just want to understand one thing, Mr. Pathak, and in sense of numbers, if you can, the dependability that India has as of now on import of edible oil, and where do you see us in next 5 to 7 years? If the national mission of edible oil does take off, and as you said, we should be looking at next 5 years, a very stable, consistent policy. So what is our dependability now? And even if we have this on paper and some of it takes off on the ground, in next 5 years, where do you see the number?
I think the if was in capitals. But if all that happens, which you are saying, I certainly see an increase in the edible oilseed availability, which means the edible oil availability in the country. We are nowhere near the self-sufficiency that we have been talking about. That's nowhere near in the next 5 years or even the next 10 years, because we are growing, our consumption is growing, our population is growing, and productivity and production is not keeping pace at the same rate. It cannot. Actually, we need other crops also. So the area shift is too much shift is not possible because we have other crops to grow. So productivity enhancement is the one way where we can grow more. Like soybean has a lot of scope for at least 1.5 times the productivity now. Mustard seed, which gives a lot of oil, has a lot of scope. Sunflower oil we have lost completely in the last 10 years. If we grow sunflower in 1 million hectare area, we'll get another 500,000 oil. So overall, if the mission goes on, and the private sector, public participation, and the government, as it is saying that they will want to do it in a very honest manner, then I think we will see some increase and some decrease in the self-sufficiency. So from the current 60%, maybe we'll go up to 50%. I don't see more than that happening in the next 5 years. But if we continue with this, maybe 30%, 40%. We will never be self-sufficient, at least not in the next 10 years.
All right. Well, yes, that's a bit of a concern, isn't it? But yes, with the kind of growing population and growing standard of living, and of course, there are a lot of international markets which are perhaps only producing edible oil for us. So I'm assuming that is that global trade to take a look at as well. But Mr. Pathak, as always, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for making sense of this sector called edible oils. With that, we are heading into a short break. But coming up, we turn the spotlight on cotton in a discussion with Mr. Atul Ganatra. He's President of Cotton Association of India. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You are with us on Monsoon Watch, and we shift focus to Kharif cotton crop and what the monsoon would mean for it. Joining me now to take that discussion forward is Atul Ganatra. He's President of Cotton Association of India. Mr. Ganatra, hi, thank you so much for joining us. And while every other sector seems to be applauding the fact that we are looking at good monsoon and that would mean good crop and better yields, how is cotton as an industry looking at this?
Yeah, good evening, Manisha ji. You see, India is in India, we are growing around 125 lakh hectare of the cotton, which is 35% of total world acreage we are doing in India. But if we see, the problem is our yield. Our yield is one of the lowest in the world. We are getting around 400 kg lint. Now coming up to the rain, 73% our area is non-irrigated area and we are depend on rain. So it is a good news that coming monsoon is a normal. We need more for better quality and better crop. We always need better rains. So it is a good news for us. It will help to increase our production. Right time rain will definitely give us good production and good yield. But the problem what we are facing today is our farmers are not happy with the cotton crop. If we see the example, in North India, April and May month is the main time for cotton sowing. And the news what we are getting from North Association and my friends from the North India, around Punjab, Rajasthan and Haryana, around 30-35% cotton sowing is down in this season. And the main reason is farmers are not happy with the yield of cotton as well as the prices were much lower than MSP in North India. So farmers are going away from the cotton. It is not good news for our industry. And now for Central India and South India, we have to wait for another 15-20 days monsoon to arrive. But at present, the news coming that farmers are not happy with the farming cotton. That is not good news for the industry, as I said. So we have to wait and watch how the farmers will behave and how they will progress. Also, we are facing one more problem is we need around 4.5 crore sowing seed packet. And this year, sowing companies, they have produced less seeds for the selling in India. So that also is a one problem we are facing. We have informed to the government to provide the timely seed and the quantity of the seed required by the farmers. We hope government will do the needful. Otherwise, there will be a shortage of sowing seed in India, Manisha ji.
All right, that does not sound like a very good news that you need 4.5 crore sowing seed packets, and as of now there's a shortage of that. I also want to understand on what policy help would you want from the government going forward. I mean, almost every sector has had something to ask for. When you look at cotton, one, the global cotton prices have been volatile. I mean, that is something that impacts Indian markets. But even with a good monsoon, as you said, the farmers are not willing to sow. That doesn't really sound good. So what is it that you would want to see in sense of support from the government? One, as you said, is about the seed support. What other things are you looking forward to?
Yeah. You see, our main demand with the government is we need urgently, we need a new seed technology. Our seed, this BT2 was introduced in 2002, 2003. So this technology is now very old. So it is almost 20 years over now. We need urgently to increase the yield of our farmers. We need new technology seed, and we are trying to convince government to please give us new seed technology so we can increase the production. Today we are doing excellent. India, in as far as textile, if you see overall, India is doing very good. We have large spinning capacity, large weaving capacity. We are doing excellent. Government has also set the target of $100 billion export within 3 years, and now we are at 35 billion. Already we are doing it, and it is achievable. But we need cotton availability. Our cotton consumption is going up day by day, but our production is not increasing. So our main demand, Manisha ji, is from government to give us new technology of the seed, so we can increase the yield, and that will help to increase our production, our exports, everything. Everybody will have a win-win situation. So we have only one single demand from government, Manisha ji.
All right. So, well, a couple of things there, as Mr. Ganatra seems to be telling us, that one is 4.5 crore sowing seed packets required, but there is a shortage. And the other thing is the new seed technology. Mr. Ganatra, you said that the last seed technology that came into India is 20 years old now.
Old, yes. 2002-3, when the BT was introduced. Before that, our production was around 120 lakh bales. As soon as new seed technology we got, from 120 lakh bales to we have reached 400 lakh bales due to this new seed technology. And thereafter, we are started declining because pink bollworms are used to this seed technology. So we need something new, which Brazil, Australia, they are having 3 times yield than India.
Oh, yes.
So if we get a good seed, we can produce easily 500 lakh bales, and it will be a win-win situation for the entire textile value chain, Manisha ji.
Mr. Ganatra, very quickly a last question. So what is your sense right now in sense of demand for within India for cotton, and do you see the prices taking some support at these current levels?
Yes, demand is very good. At present, our Indian spinning industry is running around average 90% consumption. Mills are running. That is very good compared to last year, average 75%. This year, mills have run entire season 90% capacity, which is very good. And export also we are doing good. Last year, by a month, May month, we have done shipment of around 13-14 lakh bales. This year, so far, we have crossed the 23 lakh bales shipment of the export, which is 100%, we can say, higher than last year. So domestic demand also good. Export also demand of cotton is good. So I think this at this level price will stable or slightly move upwards if rains will delay or sowing will reduce. As I said, North India already 30% sowing is down.
Right.
So we have to wait and see what is going to happen in Central India and South India, whether farmers will go and the same sowing will come place or it will reduce. We have to wait and watch, Manisha ji.
Point taken. So that is another thing that we'll have to watch for. As of now, of course, on paper, it's a very good monsoon is what the SkyMet and the IMD seem to be telling us. Thank you, Mr. Ganatra, so much for your sense on that space. Well, we've spoken about pulses and edible oil and cotton today. And while everybody is applauding a good monsoon, much would depend upon, of course, a balanced policy and the fact that the monsoon should come on the right time, a good distribution, not too much, not too less. I mean, those are the vagaries that we will have to, of course, watch out for. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Monsoon Watch. Thank you for watching.